different. Like so many of us, our guest speaker today has gone through many experiences in his quest to understand the nature of God and his own spirituality. He was born and raised next to a leprosy village in the Sahara Desert of Nigeria by missionary parents. His first degree was in theology. He then started over in psychology and became an organizational psychologist. Since then, Ian Percy has been speaking and consulting to major corporations around the world, helping them see new possibilities in purpose, passion, and prosperity. Ian's written 7 books, ranging from a book on leadership called Going Deep to his latest ebook titled Make Your Life a Masterpiece. He's here with us today to share new insights into how we can live our lives to the highest of authenticity and possibility. Please welcome from Scottsdale, Arizona, Ian Percy. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll tell you, I have had such a good time since I have been here. Been looked after beyond even the definitions of reasonable hospitality. I will say this, I discovered this morning. If you have ever doubted the love of God, have a cinnamon roll at the Sugar Shack. All things become well. I do want to talk to you about our authenticity and the possibilities of our lives. But let me ask you some questions as we begin to explore this. Would you prefer to get your eggs from this egg farm or from that egg farm? The last one? Yeah. I would too. Now, there's a lot of people actually who argue about that, but there just seems something to be authentic about that. You see? There seems to be something healthier about it. It just seems right. We all know we have to pay a little bit of a premium for that, but frankly, it's not that much, and it may well be worth it. Now, here's what's kind of interesting. How many of you have ever worked in a situation that reflected the one on the left? And some of you have broken free to set up your own business and do other things finally, and you've experienced what it's like to be that free-range side. Right? How many of us have been in churches that have been more reflective of the left instead of the freedom that God wants us to have? Some of us have been raised in families that have made us feel caged, and we have fought to be free from that. So that's why we're here to talk about how we can free the chickens. How we can really be free to enjoy all that God has for us. I'm going to do a little quiz now, just to kind of get you into the whole chicken theme. All right, now there is a real prize for this, so this is worth paying attention for. I'm going to be asking you 3 questions, and I want you to keep track of which answers you actually got right. Do not cheat, because God will kill you. Okay? You don't fake results while you're sitting here in church. Right? All right, and then I only have the one prize, so I'll just randomly choose somebody who seems to have gotten all 3. All right, here's your first question. How many laying hens are there in the United States? 3 choices: 29 million laying hens, 337 million laying hens, or over 500 million laying hens. Pick one. You got you quietly to yourself. Right? All right, you got it? Pick it. All right, the right answer is? Okay, keep track whether you got it right or not. Right? Second question. How many table eggs are produced each year? Here's your options. Number 1, 37.5 billion eggs, 2.7 billion eggs, or 90.5 billion eggs. Pick it. There's your answer. Over 90 billion eggs. Anybody got 2 right so far? We're doing good. All right. Third question. How many eggs does each hen lay per year? Here's your 3 choices. 365, 453, or 268. You got it? Here's your right answer. All right, who got them all right? Oh, come on. One person way back here. May I have the... Here's the prize. These are genuine, free-range, organic eggs. Who got that? Was it you? Enjoy those. You might want to pass them down the row. I don't know what you might want to do. Yeah. I just saw this before I came here, that Safeway is insisting on having cage-free eggs now, and that was kind of interesting. And what they said to all their suppliers, well, you're going to have to make changes in order to meet our criteria for eggs in these points now. And it came across my mind that, you know what? If we're going to be free range, we too have to make choices and do something different in our lives to really be set free. Please don't think somehow Safeway is paying me to promote their eggs. Right? I asked them, but they wouldn't do it. So here we are. So what does it mean then to be truly authentic? And I was so pleased to hear that as your theme for the month, I think, isn't it, Dr. Heather? And as I looked up the word, because I like looking up the etymology of concepts, and I'm sure somebody has talked about this already, but how do you know something is truly authentic and real? It seems to me there are four aspects to it. One is it truly original, all right, in the sense that it has not been done before? Second thing is it reflects a doing. Right? Are you doing anything with who you are? And the third one is your being, which is kind of interesting. And then the fourth one I've read, it's an achievement. Are you achieving anything in your life? And so to be truly classified as authentic, you have to match four criteria. That's kind of interesting as to what we have to do. So what I want to share with you then is how do we go about reaching that point of true authenticity, of becoming truly and fully who we are. What I'm going to share with you was the most transformative experience of my life. It was just one of those moments of enlightenment, or the clouds parting, or the lights coming on, or something that made me say, oh, there it is. Right? So I want to share that with you. Now, it was born, frankly, out of a period in my life that I refer to as the Dark Ages. Has anybody been through this particular phase? Thank you. I just need a little support. So the occasional yo, amen, right on, or something like that would be really an encouragement today. Yeah, I was just, the irony for me, I was running around the world talking to hundreds and thousands of people about how to achieve success in their life, and behind the screen, my life was falling apart. You know, and there's just something inside of me that says, Ian, you can't do this. I'm good enough on my feet, if I say that humbly, to get away with it, because how would you know? See, unless you knew and loved me, you couldn't tell that something wasn't real there. Is this making any sense to anybody in the room? Right? So that's where I began to kind of say, I got to figure this out. So this is what I figured out. I hope it'll be helpful to you. I've got to go through it fairly quickly. And Dr. Heather will remind me of my time, because I don't want to stop thinking about that. I want to think about this stuff. So you just jump in when I need to wrap up. All right, so here's how it starts off. It all starts off with innocence. All starts off with innocence. We all do, don't we? Now, what's kind of interesting about innocence is this. While we all begin that way, how long does innocence last these days? Not very long. Little kids at 4 and 5 knew stuff that you didn't know till you were 21. Isn't that a scary thought? All we got to do is look at Sandy Hook and situations like that, and we think, innocence. There is none. There is none. But we all start off that way. That whole sense of what's yours is mine, and what a wonderful world, and it's all connected. And you watch little children kind of discover that their hand is actually part of them, because they thought it was something else more mysterious. Right? Innocence, wonderful. Now what's interesting is even businesses will follow the chain that I'm about to describe for you. Anybody who set up their own business in this room knows how innocent you were. I remember my very first business cards, Ian, Percy, and Associates. Like I had any. Anybody else lie on their business card? Yeah, look, I just had a dream. And I remember how shocked I was the first time the bank says, where's the money? Right? I said, but I have a dream. Right? That was no collateral value in that dream. Innocence was shattered pretty early. So once innocence is shattered, you see, which is usually doesn't go any longer than their first recess at kindergarten or grade 1, right? Because you remember you sent that child off that first day of school, a brand new first day of school t-shirt, and you were waiting so eagerly for them to come home and see how the first time went, because that's going to be the first of a long time in school. And you saw them walking up, and there's dried blood dripped down their brand new t-shirt on their little lip. And so we get down on our knees, honey, what happened? And they tell us the story of recess. They were just playing on this thing, and this other kid wanted that, and this is what happened. And we say, oh, honey, you know what? You've got to learn to look out for yourself. The child says, it'd have been nice if you had told me that before recess. Right? But I got the picture now. I got to look out for myself. Everybody doesn't love me. I thought they did, but they don't. See, I thought it was all one thing, but apparently not. I better separate myself off and look out for myself, and we move to the second phase of this growth, this journey, which is independence. Me, separate from you. And we find all kinds of ways to do that. You see, in business we call it branding. But personally we call it branding as well. When I was growing up, in those early teen years, what we did to separate ourselves off from particularly our parents, which is really the ultimate goal of adolescence, right, is grew our hair long. Anybody else do that? How many wish you had those days back? We grew our hair long. Why? Because our parents hated it. My dad was a Baptist minister, hated every second of that. I explained to him Jesus had long hair. No spiritual understanding at all. Maybe there's a tattoo involved. You probably have kids that have tattoos you don't even know about to this day, right? We do all kinds of weird things. How many of you have boys who are wearing their pants slightly above their knees? Right? Yeah. I can tell you how to fix that, by the way. Pull yours down. Theirs will come right up. I'm telling you, it's guaranteed. We find ways of defining who we are, separate from everybody else, because we feel we have to do that to survive. And just when we're getting to the point where you understand who I am and how I'm different than everybody, what's unique about me, we end up in an institution. And there are 4 of them in most of our lives. Family is one. It's an institution. Don't go kidding me. How many of you could finish this phrase? As long as you're under my roof, you will? Do as I say. I tried that line in Saudi Arabia and got the same answer. It is universal. It's just one of the things parents get to do, right? Rules. Right? If our children are disobedient to the rules, we ground them. Right? What an awful thought, you little worm. Right? Yes, school is another one. How many of you remember going to that first day of school? A teacher comes and kneels down beside your desk. Tell me a little about your purpose in life, your ultimate dream, your destiny, so that we as an educational institution can rally our sources around you and help you become all that you can become. Are you out of your mind? Sit down, face the front. We're doing math, but I have a musical gift. Oh, we dropped our music program, part of our cost containment. You fit in. You fit in. Any of us who went through graduate school know that what you do is just get it done. Amen? Just get it done. Right? Because you better fit in. It's not worth the hassle, trust me. Right? Institution. Work is another one. How many of you remember your first day on a new job? Somebody from HR comes over, sits down beside you and says, you know what? It is our privilege, our calling to have you working with us. Right? Tell us a little bit about your purpose in life, your ultimate destiny, so that we, as your employer, can rally around you and help you become all you can become. No. You're given a 46-page personnel manual and a video on safe lifting. Right? The most intimacy you're going to hear is use the big muscles. Right? We don't care. Fit in. Right? And then the 4th one is church. You sit where you're told to sit, pray when you're told to pray, stand when you're told to stand. How many of you ever in the middle of church put up your hands and say, I don't want to sing that one? You're singing the hymn, all 12 verses slow. Right? We started with Lady Gaga, for Pete's sake. Right? My goodness. Now here is the problem, gang. You got to stay with me. This is the important part. all right? Remember what you were doing up here in that independent stage? What were you trying to do? Figure out who you were, what your life was all about, and now you're where? You're trapped in an institution everywhere you look who don't care who you are and don't care what your purpose and destiny is for the most part. We got something about to clash there, do we not? And that leads us to the next stage, which is irritation. It's really anger or restlessness, but those words didn't start with an I. Because all of a sudden you wake up. See, this is the thing. This is the thing. You don't even know it's happening to you. It just creeps up on you like the tide on a sleeping sunbather, you know. You just all of a sudden, something isn't feeling right in my life. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm working here, I go to church here, I got this, I got that. So what is wrong? What is your problem? And this growing irritation and restlessness is within inside of you. Where's that coming from? It's because you know you've lost yourself somewhere. You've lost yourself, and there's something inside that says, you got to get this back. This isn't the way. Right? And it creates that stirring that's inside. Well, what do you do with that irritation? What do you do with it? I was raised in a context, frankly, that if you were an irritated person, there was something deeply wrong with you spiritually, for sure. You know, something's wrong. Get therapy, get help, do something. Take medication. Yeah. Finally, I woke up to the fact that, you know what? No, that's God sent. That irritation, that restlessness is God sent. It's meant for you. See, part of this story is this, that if you had known me back when I was wrestling with these things, my "you are here" sticker would have been right there on that irritation thing. Because I was an angry guy. Not angry in the sense of mean and violent. You know, I mean, you'd have to drive over my foot deliberately with your car for me to utter a bad word. I mean, that's the truth, right? But you know what I'm talking about here, that restlessness inside? Are you with me on this point? Right? I was angry. And I had to figure what that was. But I was taught that when you're angry, there's something wrong. Never that hey, the universe is calling you to something. The restlessness that you and I feel is destiny's voice saying, come on, waiting over here. Stop doing that silly stuff and come over and do something meaningful and exciting. I didn't understand that for the longest time. Because what irritation is supposed to do is take you to insight. It's meant to take you to insight. Oh, that's how it works. This is what is meant here in this universe. This is perhaps what I am destined to do. This is what it means to be gifted. This is what it means to see a world of abundance and love and forgiveness and kindness and gentleness. Oh, I get it now. It's meant to lead you to new insight. What can I learn? What am I being taught here? What's this all about? Not to run away from it, not to avoid it, not to deny it, not to get out of that irritation, but to use it for all it's worth. To bring you a new understanding of how this universe is really meant to work and how your role in it is meant to work. Then it seems to me that once you accumulate enough insight, you get to kind of graduate, and all of a sudden stuff starts making sense to you. Oh, now I know why I'm here. I know why I'm with you. I know why this is happening. I can see the purpose of that. And all of a sudden, it all becomes one again. Things just start to make sense. And may I, with love and respect, suggest that everybody in this room, in fact, this organization, as is your organization where you work, is on this flow chart somehow, somewhere. If you had a "you are here" sticker, where would yours be? As I said, if you'd met me a while back, I told you where mine was going to be. Right now, I bounce around between irritation and insight, occasional visits to integration, right? Sometimes I get back up to innocence. I don't think it's a linear thing. You cannot say, as you leave here, I hope to be through my irritation by mid-February, right? That ain't how it's going to work. You're going to come back through it again and again and again. At least that's been my experience. I don't know about yours, right? So we bounce around in this thing somehow. Every organization does, every individual does. So where are we here? Well, Like I say, the purpose of irritation is to lead you to insight. Here is what is so hard about that, because that makes all the sense in the world. We don't go that direction. What direction do we typically do when we're irritated? We go back up and redefine the institution. We do. We think maybe it's me. Maybe if I kind of fit in a bit more, maybe if I had another cage, maybe I had a tighter cage, I'd be okay. And we get sucked right back into the same old trap. Organizations do that. We have a lot of business people in this room. You know that. If your organization is struggling, what do? You re-engineer it. Let's get a new logo. That'll fix everything. Nothing like a new golf shirt to calm the human spirit. Right? Or let's merge with other companies, spread the disease around. Right? But we do that too. We just go back in. We think it's us. We think it's us. Wrong direction, gang. If you're going to be a free-range chicken, you can't go back to the cage. You just can't do it. On into insight and integration. How are we doing here?
Great.
Do you all know what I'm talking about? Yes, sir. We're all there. Whether we admit it, whether we speak it out or not, we are all there. The point I'm trying to make sure that you get is that that journey is it's something to be reveled in. It's something to be grateful for. Every irritation that you have. What does this mean? And I hate to tell you, there is no point where you're going to get down to integration and life is going to be just one wonderful thing for eternity. In fact, I kind of resent people who behave that way. Little Miss Perfect. Right? I don't even trust people who haven't been to hell and back. Do you? No. First thing I want to know, if you want to be my friend, tell me about the bad times. Tell me about your dark ages. Oh, all right, now we're brothers and sisters. Right? Where are you on the journey to authenticity? Where are you? Here's what's kind of interesting. Authenticity, there's only two places you're going to find it. When you start out and when you end up. The infant is authentic, 100% authentic. Little children will do and say they're totally transparent. They'll do stuff that you wish. Have you ever taken a little one to somebody else's house for dinner? Right? And what does the child do? They pull out people's drawers and look in them. Right? Stuff you wish you could do. Right? They don't care. Your stuff's my stuff. Huh? Isn't that wonderful? Well, we beat that out of them. Right? So real authenticity, may I suggest to you, is when you begin, because God created you authentic, and then something happens to you. And we begin to lose it, and we cover it up, and we camouflage it, and we destroy it. But we can get it back again. Everything else in between, gang, is a struggle. And that's what makes us strong. That's what causes us to learn. It's a different kind of authenticity, really, when you get down to that integration stage. But it is authentic. Let's look at the characteristics of both of them. If you're innocent, you're full of wonder. I'll just look in the eyes of it. There's just wonder. There's just transparency. There's belief. There's exploration. Little kids believe anything. You've all heard that if you're sick and you want somebody to pray for you, ask the child. They don't have a moment's doubt. Most of us as adults say, oh, I'll pray for you, but man, it's a long shot. Oh, thank you for the encouragement there. You're going to go on a picnic, the child says, can we pray that it won't rain? Yeah. Kid doesn't have a moment's hesitation. Wonderful transparency and belief, exploration, exploring everything, infinite possibilities. That child can become anything they want, and they'll tell you all about it. Anything. It's all one thing. Trust in you. Imagine what that child goes. You're picking them up, you're throwing them up in the air, you're doing this to them. The child trusts. They follow their mom and dad any place. And you know what? When you look at the integration phase, it's all the same thing there too. So how do we know we're really authentic? Well, how much wonder do you have about this universe? Some of us had a great time here yesterday afternoon, I'll tell you. We were kind of exploring how infinite possibilities of this world. There's just no end to it. How does that not make you wonder? the transparency of our own struggles and beliefs and all this stuff that is all meant to come back into who we are. That's the journey we're on. That's where authenticity really relies. Remember the story of Christ and asking the children to come to him? Remember how the disciples were trying to keep the kids away? But you know why? You know why Christ did that? He wanted some authenticity. He was just up to here with adults. All your questions and disbeliefs and your wonderings. Bring the kids here. Give me a break. Isn't that true? Yeah, let the children come. He said, that's the kingdom of heaven. In their innocence, that's the kingdom of heaven. Says to us as adults, maybe you'll find it someday. So, gang, how do you like your eggs? Where do you want them from? Right? Where do we want to live our lives? I believe with all my heart God has called us to live free range. It must break God's heart to give us all the things that he's given us. And we sit there trapped up in little tiny cages somehow. No, that's not what it's for. We're meant to live free. Meant to live free. Walter Russell. I feel more spiritual just looking at his picture. I mean, do you get that image? I mean, there's something about him. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read any of his work, but look him up, Google him, and read anything you can find. But he says this: there's some subtle light in the eye of the inspired one. Some subtle light. You look at each other, there's something about you, isn't there? I don't know what it is. There's something that you send out, right? Which tells you you're in the presence of one who has bridged the gap between the mundane world and the world of spirit. People know when you've crossed over. When you've moved from all that anger and the restlessness and the institutions to understanding that there's another way to live. They know whose life has been set free. You just know it. You can't help it. You can't contain it. It just flows out of you. We're meant to be free range, gang. We're meant to be free range. And so when Dr. Heather says, I don't know if it was last week, Heather, or the week before, where you said, you know what? The motto of the year is welcome home. That's what we're talking about. Home is this free range, not a whole bunch of rules and regulations and little tiny cages for us to be in, but to experience the joy and the plenty and the bounty that God has for us. May God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Thank you.